How the hell do humans survive like this? Captain VRKLK of the Zrilli collective stood frozen in the medbay, all six of his eyes locked on the human before him. Lieutenant Ava Reyes leaned casually against the examination table, her uniform shredded, her body battered, and yet somehow, impossibly, she was smiling. You have 3 fractured ribs, a punctured lung, and signs of severe internal bleeding. VRKLK's frills quivered in a mix of disbelief and horror. You should be incapacitated, dead, even. And yet, here you are grinning. Ava shrugged, then winced as the motion sent a sharp pang through her chest. I've had worse. Just slap a sealant patch on the lung and give me a stim. I'll be fine. VRKLK recoiled, his frills fanning out in alarm. Fine. That is not fine. That is catastrophic. How are you even standing right now? Adrenaline mostly, Ava replied with a nonchalant wave of her hand. It's a human thing. Body dumps a bunch of chemicals into your system when things get dicey. Keeps us going in situations like this. VRKLK blinked his 6 eyes rapidly, trying to process the absurdity of what he was hearing. You mean your body intentionally poisons itself to keep functioning? Poison is a strong word, Ava said, chuckling. Think of it like a survival booster. Helps dull the pain, keeps us alert, gives us the energy to push through. The captain's frills twitched erratically. That is the most biologically reckless mechanism I have ever encountered. And yet, effective. But the vacuum exposure. How did you survive that? You were outside the ship for 47 seconds without a suit. Oh, that's easy, Ava said, waving him off like it was no big deal. You just exhale before you go out so your lungs don't burst. Keep your mouth open, don't panic. Basic survival training. VRKLK stared at her, utterly dumbfounded. Basic. That is not basic. That is suicidal. And yet you humans do this as a matter of course? Pretty much, Ava said, grinning. Humanity didn't survive on Earth by being cautious. You should have seen the stuff we dealt with back home, predators, natural disasters, plagues, wars, you name it. We had to get creative to make it this far. Creative, VRKLK muttered, his frills flattening in disbelief. You mean reckless. Call it what you want, Ava said with a shrug. Point is, we survive. VRKLK shook his head, his frills quivering in exasperation. Your species is like a swarm of caffeinated, knife-wielding cockroaches. Ava laughed, clapping him on the shoulder. I'll take that as a compliment. It was not meant as one, VRKLK muttered under his breath. He turned to the medbot and gestured at Ava's injuries. Stabilize her as best you can, but she should be confined to quarters until her injuries are fully healed. Confined? Ava asked, her grin fading. Oh no, no, no. I've got work to do. We're still in the middle of a mission, aren't we? You are in no condition to. Captain, with all due respect, I've fought through worse than this. I'll be fine. VRKLK's frills stiffened in alarm as Ava pushed herself off the examination table and started toward the medbay exit. You cannot possibly, Lieutenant Reyes. Get back here. But Ava was already gone, limping down the corridor with an almost cheerful spring in her step. VRKLK turned back to the medbot, his voice low and strained. How the hell does an entire species survive like this? The medbot whirred for a moment, processing the question. Finally, it beeped and replied, Conclusion. Probability of human survival based on conventional metrics is statistically implausible. Primary factor. Refusal to die. VRKLK slumped into a nearby chair, his frills drooping in defeat. Refusal to die, he muttered. What a ridiculous, terrifying species.